Ladies and gentlemen, fellow seekers of wisdom, today I wish to speak of something that stirs the heart, yet requires the mind's discipline to truly comprehend: the spark between souls. In the world we inhabit, we are often taught to view love as an uncontrollable force, a mysterious energy that strikes without warning. But the Stoic perspective offers us a different path, a way to understand this connection not as mere passion, but as a virtuous, rational, and purposeful bond. In Stoic philosophy, love is often misunderstood as an overwhelming emotion that we cannot control, a force that sweeps us off our feet and dictates our actions. However, the Stoics present a different view, a view that transforms love from an uncontrollable passion into a virtue that we can actively cultivate and guide with reason. They believe that love, like all emotions, is a product of our judgments and interpretations of the world. It arises from the way we choose to perceive and respond to situations, not from an uncontrollable or random force. According to the Stoics, love is not something that simply happens to us. It is a rational act grounded in wisdom and understanding. The philosopher Epictetus reminds us that it is not the events or people around us that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Love, in the Stoic sense, is the result of choosing to see another person with admiration, respect, and empathy, recognizing the value of their character and virtues. It is an active process where we consciously decide to love another not for superficial reasons, but for their goodness and their alignment with what we consider virtuous. In this view, love is more than just an emotional response. It becomes a deliberate action, a choice to act in accordance with reason and virtue. This aligns love with the Stoic concept of the good life, which is not one of constant pleasure or the pursuit of fleeting desires, but rather one of living according to nature and reason. For the Stoics, love is a path to living a virtuous life, one where the connection between two people is not based on fleeting emotions, but on a shared commitment to moral excellence. Furthermore, the Stoic conception of love challenges the traditional idea of romantic love as a form of dependency or need. In Stoic philosophy, love is not about seeking someone to complete us or fulfill emotional voids, but about sharing a mutual respect and admiration for each other's virtues. True love is not a relationship based on what one person can give the other, but on how both individuals grow and support each other in their pursuit of virtue. It is not about expecting the other to fill gaps in one's soul, but about two people choosing to walk together, each with their own sense of inner peace, towards a shared goal of wisdom and moral excellence. This concept of love as a virtue also involves self-control and moderation. The Stoics emphasize that, just as with any emotion, love should not lead us into excess or unhealthy attachment. We should not allow our feelings to control us or cloud our judgment. Love, when aligned with Stoic principles, is rooted in balance. It encourages self-discipline, guiding us to love with clarity and wisdom, without becoming consumed by it or allowing it to dictate our actions in an irrational way. A Stoic lover does not fall into the trap of emotional extremes, but instead practices temperance, recognizing when to step back and preserve their inner tranquility. In addition, Stoic love does not shy away from challenges. Rather, it embraces the difficulty that may come with the growth of a relationship. The Stoics understood that virtue requires effort, and so does love. Love, in this sense, becomes a journey of mutual support through life's challenges, a space where both individuals grow, not only in their affection for one another, but also in their pursuit of becoming better versions of themselves. It is through facing adversity together, with patience, understanding, and resilience, that love becomes a true expression of virtue. In essence, the Stoic view of love encourages us to see love as an opportunity for personal growth and moral development. It teaches us to love consciously, with intention, and with an understanding of the impermanent nature of all things. It shifts the focus from love as an uncontrollable emotion to love as a deliberate practice that is rooted in reason, wisdom, and virtue. By embracing this perspective, we can transform love from something that merely happens to us into something we actively choose and shape, aligning it with our deepest values and guiding us toward a life of greater fulfillment and meaning. In Stoicism, emotions are not random occurrences that happen to us, nor are they forces that we have no control over. Instead, Stoic philosophy teaches that emotions are the result of our judgments, how we interpret the events and experiences of our lives. This understanding of emotions as choices changes how we perceive love, especially when we think about it in the context of romantic relationships. From a Stoic perspective, love is not something that overtakes us without warning or reason. It is not merely a spontaneous, uncontrollable passion that dictates our actions. Rather, love, like all emotions, is something that arises from the judgments we make about others and ourselves. We do not fall into love by accident. We choose to love, and that choice is governed by our capacity for reason, understanding, and wisdom. This Stoic view of emotions empowers us. It suggests that we are not passive recipients of love or any emotion, but active participants in how we experience and express them. When we experience love, we do not have to surrender to it blindly. Instead, we can examine it, assess its sources, and guide it in alignment with our rational understanding of what is virtuous and beneficial. Love, then, is not merely an uncontrollable urge, but a reasoned choice that aligns with our principles and values. In this way, love becomes an act of the will, a conscious decision to cultivate affection, care, and respect for another person based on their virtues and qualities that we admire and value. For the Stoic, this idea that emotions are judgments means that our feelings of love are not purely dictated by how we feel in a particular moment. Instead, they are influenced by the deeper, rational thoughts and assessments we make about the other person. If we choose to see someone with understanding, compassion, and respect for their virtues, then love arises from that judgment. However, if we choose to view someone through the lens of judgment or flawed thinking, we may find ourselves feeling resentment, jealousy, or attachment rather than love. It is in this sense that love, from a Stoic standpoint, is not just an emotional reaction to a person's presence or behavior, but the result of deliberate, mindful choices about how we view that person. This perspective encourages us to approach love not with impulsivity, but with care, reflection, and wisdom. We are invited to consider whether our feelings are being shaped by external appearances, fleeting desires, or rational assessments of a person's true character. If love is rooted in reason, then it is not based solely on superficial qualities or immediate gratification, but on deeper values that align with our personal philosophy and commitment to virtue. True love, then, arises when we choose to love another for who they truly are, not for what they can give us or for their external traits, but because we see in them the potential for mutual growth, wisdom, and shared values. The Stoic approach to love also allows for greater emotional resilience. By understanding that emotions like love are based on our judgments, we realize that we have the power to reshape or change those judgments when necessary. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist, but rather acknowledging that we are not bound by every feeling that arises. If we experience love based on faulty judgments or irrational beliefs, we can adjust those beliefs, reframe our thoughts, and change how we relate to that person or the situation. This ability to choose how we respond emotionally to love, rather than being swept away by it, gives us greater control over our actions and reactions. In romantic relationships, this Stoic view of love also invites us to think about love not as something to be possessed or owned, but as a shared experience between two individuals who consciously choose each other in the pursuit of mutual growth. When we love with reason, we recognize that the other person is not an object to be controlled or manipulated, but a fellow human being with their own rationality, autonomy, and path to walk. We love not to possess, but to grow together, to build a relationship that is rooted in wisdom, self-control, and mutual respect. By aligning love with reason, the relationship becomes a space for both individuals to support and challenge each other, growing in virtue as they journey through life together. Thus, the Stoic view of love transforms it from a chaotic force to a deliberate, thoughtful choice, one that we are capable of guiding, shaping, and reflecting upon in ways that contribute to our own virtue and the well-being of others. In Stoic philosophy, inner harmony is seen as the cornerstone of a well-lived life. This principle applies not only to how we live individually, but also to how we engage in relationships, particularly romantic ones. The Stoics teach that true contentment and fulfillment come not from external circumstances or from the behaviors of others, but from achieving a state of peace and balance within ourselves. This concept is crucial when considering love and romantic relationships, because it suggests that in order to truly connect with another person, we must first be complete within ourselves. A healthy, meaningful relationship does not stem from the need to be completed by another person, but from the ability to share an already full and harmonious self with someone else. The Stoic approach to inner harmony emphasizes the importance of self-sufficiency. This does not mean that we should withdraw from others or reject emotional connection, but rather that we should cultivate a strong sense of independence in our own emotional and mental well-being. We must learn to find peace within ourselves, to be content with our own company, and to develop the resilience to handle life's inevitable challenges without relying on others to provide emotional stability. In the context of love, this translates into the idea that a healthy relationship is not about seeking someone else to complete us, but about two individuals who each possess a strong sense of self and are able to come together as equals, sharing their inner peace with one another. In romantic relationships, this focus on inner harmony allows us to avoid unhealthy dependencies. Often, in relationships, people look to their partner to fulfill unmet needs or to soothe internal insecurities. However, the Stoics would argue that this is a misguided approach, for it places the responsibility for our happiness and well-being on someone else, rather than taking ownership of our own emotional state. By fostering inner harmony, we cultivate the ability to love others not because they fulfill us in ways we cannot fulfill ourselves, but because they are worthy of our affection and respect. We no longer depend on them to provide us with something we lack, but choose to love them freely as an expression of our own strength, wisdom, and emotional balance. Additionally, achieving inner harmony does not mean being free from negative emotions or difficulties in relationships. The Stoic ideal is not about suppressing feelings, but about accepting them and managing them with clarity and composure. In a relationship, This means that when challenges arise, whether through conflict, misunderstandings, or external stressors, we approach these difficulties with a calm mind and a balanced heart. Rather than reacting impulsively or allowing our emotions to dictate our actions, we choose to respond in ways that are thoughtful, measured, and aligned with our values. Inner harmony, then, is not about avoiding negative emotions or conflict, but about developing the strength to face them with wisdom and tranquility. A key component of inner harmony is the cultivation of self-awareness. The Stoics believe that we must examine our own thoughts and emotions, understanding their origins and impacts in order to achieve true peace. In a romantic relationship, this self-awareness allows us to be mindful of our own needs, desires, and limitations. It enables us to recognize when our feelings are driven by irrational expectations or past wounds, rather than the current reality of the relationship. By fostering this level of self-awareness, we not only improve our own emotional well-being, but also become better partners, capable of engaging with the other person from a place of clarity and mutual respect. In the Stoic view, love is not an escape from one's inner world, but an expansion of it. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are better able to appreciate the other person and understand their needs, wants, and emotions. The relationship becomes a shared space where both individuals are free to be their authentic selves, knowing that they are not dependent on the other for their happiness or sense of self-worth. Each person, with their own inner harmony, contributes to the overall balance and strength of the relationship. Ultimately, the Stoic emphasis on inner harmony teaches us that the most meaningful relationships are those in which both individuals have cultivated peace and balance within themselves. A romantic relationship based on inner harmony is not one where people seek to control or change each other, but one where two people come together with their own completeness, sharing their love and wisdom freely. Such a relationship is grounded in mutual respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to personal growth, making it not just an emotional connection, but a space for both partners to flourish. In Stoic philosophy, the transience of life is a central theme. It is a truth that everything in life, including love, is temporary and subject to change. The Stoics teach us that all things, whether they are people, experiences, or emotions, are fleeting, and this awareness shapes how we approach the world around us. This perspective on impermanence is not meant to bring sorrow or despair, but rather to deepen our appreciation for the present moment and encourage us to live more fully and intentionally. When applied to love, the Stoic view of transience invites us to approach romantic relationships with a sense of mindfulness and gratitude, knowing that the bond we share with another person, no matter how strong, will not last forever. The Stoics argue that by accepting the impermanence of life, we can cultivate a more meaningful relationship with it. Love, too, is part of this cycle of change. To love another person is to recognize that the time we share with them is limited and that both of us will eventually change in ways we cannot predict. This awareness should not be seen as something to fear or avoid, but as a call to cherish each moment of connection. When we understand that our relationships are finite, we are encouraged to fully engage with them, to appreciate the depth of our emotional bonds, and to make the most of the time we have together. Love, in this sense, becomes a precious gift that we do not take for granted, but savor deeply. The Stoics also remind us that attachment to people or things can lead to suffering, especially when we come to expect them to remain unchanged or everlasting. The desire to hold on to something that is inherently fleeting, whether a relationship, a possession, or a status, can lead to frustration and disappointment when it inevitably shifts or fades away. Instead of fighting against this natural process, the Stoic teaches us to accept change with equanimity. In the context of love, this means understanding that the love we share with another person will inevitably evolve over time, and it may even come to an end. The Stoic response is not to resist this fact, but to face it with courage and grace. By recognizing that all things are temporary, we can free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations and allow ourselves to experience love without the fear of losing it. This view of transience also encourages us to focus on the present moment. Instead of worrying about what might happen in the future or regretting the past, the Stoic approach to love invites us to embrace the current experience. By being fully present with our partner, appreciating the moments of joy, connection, and growth, we can find deeper fulfillment in the relationship. It is not about clinging to the idea of eternal love, but about recognizing the beauty and value of the love we have right now. Each shared experience, each moment of laughter or quiet understanding becomes significant when we realize that these moments are all we truly have. The understanding of impermanence also teaches us resilience. In a romantic relationship, there will be challenges, and sometimes those challenges may feel overwhelming. But the Stoic perspective reminds us that difficulty and change are natural parts of life. We do not have control over how long a relationship lasts or how it unfolds, but we do have control over how we respond to the ups and downs that come with it. When we embrace the transience of love, we can face these challenges with greater strength and perspective. We understand that even when love changes or ends, it has still added meaning and value to our lives. We can let go without bitterness, knowing that we have experienced something beautiful and significant, even if it was only for a time. Moreover, the awareness of impermanence does not diminish love. Instead, it enhances it. When we recognize the fleeting nature of our time together, we are more likely to cherish our partner, to be patient, to show kindness, and to love more deeply. Love, in this sense, becomes even more precious when we understand that it will not last forever. This awareness helps us focus on what truly matters in the relationship, such as mutual respect, shared growth, and genuine connection, rather than being distracted by external factors or fleeting desires. In the Stoic view, love's transience ultimately encourages us to live more authentically and with greater intention. When we accept that everything, including love, is temporary, we are liberated from the need to control or possess it. Instead, we can love freely without attachment, knowing that the beauty of love lies in the way it exists in the present, not in its permanence. This perspective allows us to experience love with a full heart, appreciating the richness it brings without clinging to the illusion of permanence. In embracing impermanence, we find a deeper, more enduring appreciation for love itself. The Stoic philosophy teaches that the true essence of a meaningful relationship lies not in superficial attachments or fleeting emotions, but in the union of virtuous souls. This idea goes beyond mere romantic attraction or dependency and suggests that love in its highest form is an intersection of two people's characters, values, and intellectual growth. For the Stoics, love is a relationship grounded in mutual respect and shared wisdom, where each individual helps the other cultivate virtue, wisdom, and moral excellence. True connection, therefore, transcends physical attraction or romantic desire and is rooted in the interdependence of souls seeking mutual growth, understanding, and self-improvement. A Stoic relationship is not one where two people come together to satisfy needs, but rather one where each person strives to help the other become the best version of themselves. This interdependence, however, is not to be confused with emotional dependence or attachment. The Stoics emphasize that we should never rely on another person to complete us or make us whole, for our completeness must come from within. Instead, love, as seen through the Stoic lens, is about two individuals who are already whole, each cultivating their own virtue and wisdom, and choosing to come together to share that wisdom with each other. They support each other's growth, challenge each other's assumptions, and encourage each other to live according to their highest moral principles. The relationship becomes a space for both individuals to grow in their capacity for virtue, understanding, and emotional resilience. The union of two souls, in the Stoic sense, is a partnership of equals. Each person brings their own strengths, qualities, and wisdom to the relationship, and the bond between them is strengthened not by dependency, but by mutual admiration for each other's character. This interdependence is not about seeking validation or completion from the other person, but about recognizing the shared journey towards self-improvement and moral excellence. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius suggested, we are all part of a greater whole, and the purpose of our relationships with others is to align our actions with the common good. In love, this means supporting one another not in fulfilling individual desires, but in pursuing a shared goal of becoming more virtuous, wise, and just. This connection between souls is also grounded in the Stoic understanding of nature. According to Stoic thought, we are all part of the same rational order of the universe, and our relationships should reflect this deeper unity. Love, therefore, is not an isolated or selfish experience, but one that is in harmony with the natural world and the rational order that governs it. In a Stoic relationship, the bond between two people is seen as a reflection of their shared purpose to live in accordance with nature, to cultivate virtue, and to contribute positively to the common good. Their love is a form of cooperation, a mutual effort to live well and contribute to the world in a meaningful way, not only for their own benefit, but for the benefit of others. Moreover, the Stoic view of the interdependence of souls suggests that love is not about possessing or controlling the other person, but about honoring their autonomy and individuality. The Stoic lover does not seek to mold or change their partner to fit their own desires, but accepts them as they are, recognizing that their partner, too, is on a path of self-discovery and self-improvement. This respect for the other's autonomy is a central tenet of Stoic love, for it allows both individuals to grow in their own right, without feeling the need to control or dominate each other. The relationship is one of mutual freedom, where both people are free to pursue their own development while supporting each other along the way. Ultimately, the Stoic idea of the interdependence of souls elevates love to a higher level. It is no longer merely a means of fulfilling individual desires or emotional needs, but becomes a transformative force in the lives of both partners. Love, in this sense, is not a source of dependency, but a shared journey toward the highest human potential. It is a relationship where both individuals support each other's growth, challenge each other's weaknesses, and encourage each other to live more virtuous, wise, and meaningful lives. Through this interdependence, love becomes a dynamic, evolving force that fosters the development of both individuals, helping them become better versions of themselves while strengthening the bond between them. This is the Stoic vision of love, a deep, enduring connection between souls that transcends the superficial and seeks to cultivate a higher, shared purpose. In Stoic philosophy, the foundation of every relationship, including romantic ones, lies in the practice of discipline, and virtue. The Stoics firmly believed that to live a good life, one must act in accordance with reason and virtue, and this extends to how we conduct ourselves in relationships. The idea that love is an active choice, rooted in the cultivation of virtue, reshapes the way we approach romantic connections. Instead of seeing love as something that happens to us, or as an external force that we passively experience, the Stoic perspective emphasizes that love is something we must continuously work to cultivate and nurture through our actions, decisions, and behavior. Self-discipline, in this context, means that we are responsible for our emotional reactions and behavior in relationships. It requires us to maintain control over our desires, impulses, and expectations. Rather than being swept away by fleeting emotions or letting the highs and lows of romantic love dictate our actions, we are taught to approach love with a steady, composed, and thoughtful mindset. The Stoics remind us that emotions like passion or jealousy are not inherently bad, but it is how we respond to them that matters. True love, from a Stoic perspective, is grounded in a rational and deliberate choice to act with kindness, respect, and integrity, regardless of how intense or tumultuous our feelings may be. This emphasis on self-discipline also requires us to practice moderation and temperance in our relationships. The Stoics believed that excess in any area of life leads to imbalance and harm, and this principle applies to love as well. While love can be passionate and fulfilling, the Stoic teaches us not to let it overwhelm us or become the sole focus of our existence. We are encouraged to avoid becoming overly dependent on love or falling into unhealthy attachment. Instead, love should be a balanced force in our lives, one that complements our pursuit of wisdom, personal growth, and fulfillment. In romantic relationships, this means allowing love to enhance our lives, but not letting it dominate our actions or decisions. Our sense of self, worth, and purpose should not hinge on the love we receive or the relationship we are in, but on our ability to live in accordance with our principles and virtues. Furthermore, the Stoic concept of self-discipline in love encourages us to focus on the development of our own character. To love another person genuinely and in a healthy way, we must first ensure that we are aligned with our values and virtuous principles. In relationships, this often means practicing patience, forgiveness, and empathy, as well as confronting our own weaknesses and biases. The Stoics teach us that we cannot love others fully if we are not first able to love and accept ourselves. Therefore, self-discipline becomes a crucial aspect of building a strong and healthy romantic relationship. It requires each individual to commit to their own personal growth and to bring their best self to the relationship. In addition to self-discipline, the Stoics emphasize the importance of resilience in love. Love, like life, is filled with challenges, uncertainties, and changes. It is inevitable that relationships will face difficult moments, misunderstandings, conflicts, external pressures, or even the loss of a loved one. The Stoic approach to love teaches us to endure these challenges with grace and fortitude. Rather than giving in to despair or frustration when difficulties arise, we are encouraged to see these challenges as opportunities for growth. Resilience in love means learning to handle disappointment, embrace uncertainty, and remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. It is through this resilience that love becomes a source of strength, not weakness. In this way, self-discipline and resilience go hand in hand, creating a foundation upon which love can grow, even through hardship. Lastly, The Stoic notion of love as an active choice emphasizes that we must be intentional in how we show love and affection. Love is not just about feeling deeply for another person, but about acting in ways that are consistent with our virtues. It is about choosing to act with kindness, to communicate with respect, and to make decisions that are in the best interest of both partners. In a Stoic relationship, love is not just a passive state of being, but an ongoing commitment to the well-being and growth of both individuals involved. Each action, every word, and every decision is a reflection of the values we hold dear. By practicing this kind of intentional love, we demonstrate the strength of our character and the depth of our commitment to the relationship. In essence, the Stoic view of love challenges us to approach romantic relationships with maturity, mindfulness, and a dedication to self-improvement. Love is not a fleeting feeling or something that simply happens to us, but a conscious decision and an ongoing effort to act with wisdom, virtue, and discipline. By cultivating these qualities within ourselves, we can build relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, shared growth, and a deep, enduring love that transcends external circumstances or temporary emotions. Love, in the Stoic sense, is not an external force, but an internal practice, a continuous journey toward greater wisdom and emotional maturity. In conclusion, the Stoic philosophy offers a profound and transformative perspective on love, one that shifts our focus from fleeting emotions to deeper, more enduring principles. By embracing the Stoic ideals of self, discipline, inner harmony, and the understanding of love as a conscious choice, we learn to approach romantic relationships with wisdom, integrity, and resilience. Love, from a Stoic viewpoint, is not about dependency or passion alone, but about the shared journey of two individuals committed to mutual growth, virtue, and emotional equilibrium. When we recognize the transience of life, we cherish our relationships in the present, without attachment to permanence or unrealistic expectations. The union of souls in a Stoic relationship is not about possession or control, but about the interdependence of two people who support each other's moral and personal development. Through the cultivation of virtue and resilience, we learn to love not just in moments of ease, but also through challenges and change, ensuring that our relationships are built on a solid foundation of respect, shared values, and self-awareness. In the end, Stoic love is not a passive experience, but an active, intentional practice, one that calls us to approach love with mindfulness, compassion, and a commitment to mutual growth. It teaches us that the greatest love is not one of dependency, but one of wisdom and virtue, where both individuals continue to evolve as they support each other along the way. This approach, grounded in Stoic philosophy, offers us a path to love that is enduring, transformative, and ultimately fulfilling.